YouTube is garbage if you're a individual creator that isn't backed by a big company and retained legal counsel. And this goes right the way up, by the way, even if you're somebody like if you're someone with like 500,000 followers, they don't value you. 1,000,000 followers put you in what, like the top 10, 20,000 YouTubers on the channel, maybe not even that. Right? There's so many random channels that just have 1,000,000 followers, and you're like, why? Like, this is a guy who just does plumbing on YouTube, 1,000,000 followers. People are just into that. So somebody with 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, you got no chance. You got butt kissed. They don't give a fuck. So what happened with Duncan was, after that guy sent him that spreadsheet that showed 72, 73 instances of them using his content, Duncan said, fuck it, I'm going to DMCA 50 of it. I'm going to just do the first 50 on the list. And by the way, Duncan is legally allowed to do that. There is no question if it is a false DMCA. It would only be a false DMCA if Duncan knew that was fair use going in, which he doesn't know it's fair use. In fact, he thinks it isn't fair use. Now, I connected him with someone legal who deals with this type of stuff, and they said, unfortunately, these big corporations do have a lot of protections, and fair use generally tends to go their way if they can use your clips. Because the big problem you have is it's not just being transformative. That's what everyone talks about. When you transform a clip, what that means is you take a clip and you turn it into something so distinctly different from its original form that it doesn't even matter how much you used its transformative content. Transformation is one of the defenses for a fair use exemption. But the other thing is they have this thing called illustration. And so if I make a point, let's say I'm recording a history video for kids and it's educational, and I say, oh, there was this funny Austrian man who made these outrageous speeches, back in the day, and I'll use a clip of that. Well, the copyright holder might not want me to, but I've got a fair use exemption, or I can argue a fair use exemption, because no fair use exemption is a guarantee, by the way. I can say, well, look, I had to use that clip to prove that point. And they go, okay, well, that's illustrative, and you didn't use a lot of it. So actually, yeah, fair enough. Now, the thing that is fuckery. I'm going to tell you something about YouTube that you guys probably don't know, because I imagine you don't have YouTube channels. Right. Well, as soon as Duncan DMCA'd a big channel, YouTube got in touch with him and said, yeah, we're not too sure about this, actually. They're absolute outrageous. Absolute outrageous. When you DMCA somebody, you go through an automated system that says YouTube must agree to support your DMCA in principle. Because it's not for them to determine if it's fair use or not. They are not a legal entity. They are not a court. They cannot make a decision. The fact that they went back to Duncan and basically said, yeah, it probably is fair use, mate, that is an example of power user privileges that no one else gets. And I would wager is legally dubious. So they're absolutely not allowed to get involved. What they're supposed to do is remove the videos and let the dispute be resolved by however it gets resolved. So then the score tried to have Thorin banned off the platform of YouTube, saying he was sending nuisance DMCAs. And that because he didn't understand fair use, there was no guarantee he wouldn't do it in future. Now, obviously, YouTube didn't dare agree to that and acquiesce to that, because that is a fucking payout that you just win all day. But the fact the score even tried to flex on YouTube with their legal counsel, shows you that they are fucking scum. And yet, you might wonder, well, hang on, if it works like that for them, it must work like that for you. Let me tell you why you haven't seen episode 25 of I Hate It Here, or sometimes why VODs don't come out in a timely fashion. Why, for example, there are 3 more episodes of Enemy of the People waiting to come through. When I upload a video on YouTube, right, there are certain entities that will automatically flag you for stealing copyright, even if you use the tiniest fraction. And let me tell you, one of these entities is, I think it's CBS, whichever network Stephen Colbert is on. Anytime you use a clip of Stephen Colbert, it automatically says you're violating copyright. And you need to think about how ridiculous that is, because that cardboard cutout propagandist, DMCA operative, relative, fundraiser, cunt, he has a show where what does he do? He looks at other people's clips off the internet, off their TV shows, and sits there and goes, can you believe he said this? Can you believe he said that? Can you believe he said this? I'm doing comedy, not political operations, right? So he makes a living doing what you would attempt to do on YouTube. But here's how a DMCA process works. And this is how the score got away with something. I then say, and I've got a legal draft I use for every appeal. And it basically points out, not only is it outrageous that they would claim this isn't fair use and exempt, that it is the exact same mechanics they use to make their content and their living, right? And so obviously what they do is they don't challenge that, because I'm right. But do you know what they do? They wait for 30 days for the challenge to expire, as is their legal right. So they hit me with a bullshit DMCA. I have to counter appeal, and then I have to sit for 30 days with my thumb up my ass, where they are not legally obligated to release my content. Why didn't that happen to the score? Their content was back up within 2 fucking days. The DMCA system is absolutely not fit for purpose in its current format and clearly favours big corporations and big people. And this is why the score can just act with absolute impunity. To make it clear, I don't give permission for any of my content to be used out of context from its original place under any circumstances whatsoever. Right? I want my content to be controlled by me. I want my messaging to be controlled by me. I believe I have a right to do that. And so I'm all for fair use. I'm all for whatever. If you keep using my content to make up for your fucking lack of insight into an industry, I should pull your fucking card. But I also know what I told Duncan when I connected him with the law guy. It is a waste of time. These people can do what they want. The only people that get to make decisions are you, essentially. The audience. You're the only people that can do anything about it. You're the only people that can hold them accountable. And the point is, there's not enough of you, because they make casual dog shit throwaway content off the sweat of other people's brow. And so if you boycott them, it don't matter. There's another 200,000 people that will click on that garbage. So they get away with it. But I had to talk about it because they've always been garbage. They've leveraged their money and their spending power to silence people and to threaten people's livelihoods. They have denigrated the work of actual award-winning journalists in the space. And now they seem content to make dog shit throwaway videos that are basically carbon copies of content other people make much better. So that is that. Case closed. The truth. TM Richard Lewis.